You're listening to Errol Parker and Clancy Overall, editors of the Betoota Advocate, on Desert Rock FM.
Welcome back to Betoota Advocate Radio Show, recording from downtown here in Betoota. You're joined by myself, Clancy Overall, editor of the Betoota Advocate, and of course Errol Parker, editor at large. How are you, Errol?
I'm all right.
Good, mate. It's good. Look, things are changing. Things are changing in our town. Everyone's been aware that Betoota has been a bustling hub of Australian and international hip-hop for quite some time. We've got our very own local artists in the shape of MC Beer and Mates. We've got DJ, what was his name?
DJ Chico Roll.
Yeah. We had him. He actually nearly moved to Brisbane with it. He was the closest thing to an export. But we've always kept an eye on that world. Previously on this show, we've had some hip-hop authorities. We've had Cursor, MC.
Yep. We've had some skip hoppers too from Adelaide.
Yeah.
Had MC SO.
No, we didn't interview Listen
know.
SO, who you're now mistaking for Hilltop Hoods. We didn't interview them. But we have interviewed Howie, which I guess you would say is a pioneer of all eras, I guess, of Australian hip-hop. But today we're talking about the new era, and that is why we are joined by what we would call authorities of contemporary hip-hop in Australia. I'm going to avoid saying Australian hip-hop. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Jazmine, Nikitta, Jade, Flay, and of course, 24 Karat Kev. We've spoken, we've met before.
We have
history. You've sat in a panel with us before where I believe 3 years ago the discussion was what's wrong with Australian hip-hop, and you were on that panel.
I was, yeah. Where was it? It was down at the Botany View Hotel or something.
Yeah, it was somewhere down in the Steak and Kidney. I'm not sure. But,
Yeah.
That was a good night. Thanks
for
for having me.
Yeah, but, I guess that question's been answered.
It has.
Since then.
It's gone from people who used to rap about things that are pretty mundane, like running out of goon when you're doing Goon of Fortune and not having enough sausages on the barbecue for when your mates turn up. And, now there's people who are making songs about things that affect them personally.
Yeah.
And also songs about balaclavas and Gucci monogram baseball caps.
Yeah. So I want to start with some questions about that, and I'm going to start with you, Jazmine. When did you first notice that Australian hip-hop was something that might appeal to you?
Oh, from a very young age. I loved hip-hop. I feel like it's just been in me, in my soul. I grew up listening to Common, Mos Def. These guys will laugh at me because I'm obsessed with conscious rap.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to it for a long time.
James Packer's a pioneer of it. Rupert's son. He put the money up. Yep.
Please expand for me.
We'll get into that off air. You've seen Secession? It's based on a true story. The Murdochs are behind conscious rap.
Oh,
you know that?
Didn't know this.
No, you're actually not shit. I thought you were talking shit, but you're not.
No.
Yeah.
Was it, what was the record label? Ras?
Yeah, they funded one of the labels which put out like Talib Kweli and shit like that.
No way. That's dope.
Not even shitting you.
When one of the sons was in Harvard, he got hooked on that shit. And
That's hilarious. That's a crazy fact.
You've been a slave to the man the whole time.
Joke's on us. Damn. That's awesome.
But moving closer to home now, you're all the hosts of the A1 podcast, The Show on A1, where you are, I guess, in that uncomfortable position of being authorities on hip-hop.
I'm not sure I like the word authorities as our introduction because that word just makes me nervous. It brings back lots of traumatizing memories.
It makes you sound like a cop.
Yeah.
Authorities and gatekeepers,
which I've been accused of.
Gatekeepers
It's
is another hot
intense.
button word.
I guess that's kind of us now.
Yeah.
I should definitely not be anyone's role model, but
Well, see, no one wants to grow up to be Richard Kingsmill, do they? I mean, that's just... It comes with such a negative connotation, doesn't it? Being or a tastemaker, as he likes to refer to himself as.
He's one of my biggest inspirations. Don't diss the king.
So they're looking after their careers here. We're not going to get any hot sound bites. All right. But yeah, tell me.
You're safe this time, Richard.
Yeah, you're safe this time. Nookie's coming for your job, the Black King's Mill, as he described himself on air and hasn't done so since. Reprimanded. When did you guys realise that this was actually something that was going to blow up in Australia? Because there was always, speaking of gatekeepers, there was about 5 acts, and they were all, skip hop pioneers. Mm-hmm. When did you, it happened overnight? It did happen overnight. Drill happened overnight in Australia, if you really think about it like that. There was all of a sudden there was a couple that you saw, and then there was
I think
Everyone.
it's this next generation of a certain confidence that I think maybe people before us or even people in our generation maybe didn't have so much. Like for me in school, being ethnic or being, anything besides white, and if you were to be a hip hop artist, it was almost like you were just really uncool. But these days, I don't know, it's like it's the coolest shit that you could possibly do in this country. So it is that like shift in culture and the whether it's considered cool or not has definitely changed.
I think the production style as well has evolved a lot. The old stuff was a bit more on the boom bap side, and I think 2015, 2016 when Manu started really popping off, that's when I think people started making music with less of a local lens. They started thinking more globally, and I think that's definitely happened tremendously over the past couple of years. I mean, the stuff that's coming out now, it resonates in the UK, and obviously like guys like Leroy or whatever, they're resonating in the US. So I think it's just like the style has contemporized a lot and become more palatable for an international audience.
Absolutely. And then also, as we stepped into the digital world that we're sort of living in now, that played a huge part as well.
Do you think that digital globalization's helped? Because you look at something like the genre drill, a lot of people would argue it came from Chicago, and then that's when I tuned out. Chief Keef. Next thing I know, it's in Western Sydney via UK. You know what I mean? Is that what's happened here?
And then the UK kind of regurgitated it back to New York with Pop Smoke and stuff. So, it's just interesting to see, like you said, how the genres like move from place to place and how they evolve and how they each have their own kind of like quirks and characteristics and stuff like that. Same kind of thing happened with grime, like grime and drill, both heavily popular in the UK. Obviously, grime then came to Australia,
Courtney Barnett, our first grime artist.
Well, mid 2000s, the grime thing popped off here, and now you have like Japanese grime, you have like New Zealand grime, you have grime everywhere. So it's just interesting to see how genres evolve over countries and over time.
Well, you see, like the same thing happened in this country too with country music. I mean, you had like the original stalwarts, right? You had your Slim Dustys, Kev Carmody's,
Balladeers.
John Williamson's, and then we started having these international stars like Keith Urban coming up because they started to adopt a more poppy sound. Do you think that's kind of what's happened in hip hop in that it's become like Australian hip hop has gotten this global audience because we've tapped into things like the London grime scene and things like that?
Yeah, I think we've definitely taken cues from different scenes overseas, but I think the key for success is kind of putting our own spin on it, because it's like, why would you listen to Australian drill if it was like exact carbon copy of UK drill? But I think what guys like 1-4 have done, which is really nice, is they've put that West Sydney slang on it. They have their own codes of like the way that they dress, the way that they speak, the references that they make to certain areas and stuff like that. Obviously, it has been inspired by the UK, but I think that, them putting their own little twist on it and saying things that, people from Sydney will recognise, I think that's been the key to their success.
Yeah, and I think that, like, people that are listening internationally have been so intrigued by a lot of the Polynesian artists that have come up because of the way that they look, and Kev, just like you said, the way that they sound.
Well, you don't see a twin braid in the UK. You don't often see it, no.
Yeah, when I interviewed 1-4, I actually brought that up because it's like the massive perception is like home and away. When 1-4 first came out, all the comments were like, who are they drilling, kangaroos or fucking wombats? You know what I mean? That was like, that was like the top YouTube comment, for ages with 1-4. And then it's like people didn't even know that there was Polynesians in Australia because they're like, oh, are these guys Asian? What is this? Like, we've never seen this before. But like, people don't realize that, you come to Sydney, you go out west, you can drive 45 minutes out west and you won't see, it'll just be all Asians or Arabs or Polynesians, you know what I mean? Or Africans. Yeah. So it's just, I think more importantly, the music is putting a more diverse reflection internationally of what Australia actually looks like.
More representative.
Yeah.
More representative kind of look into the Australian suburbs.
Yeah. Because when I go overseas, people are like, what the fuck? Like, I've never seen an Asian person talk like that. And I'm like, well, this is just it, man. Sorry.
Same with me being Caribbean. I think we've all, experienced that going overseas. So it's nice that they're finally getting like a real look into it.
So you would say that Caribbean background, people kind of are shocked when they hear an Australian accent, and that's probably similar things happening with the music as well when they see these. I mean, admittedly, the guys do dress like it's a lot colder than it is in Western Sydney with the sportswear and the hoodies and the balaclavas, because their face gets cold. They have to wear the balaclavas.
When the Brisbane drill shit popped off, I was like, I swear it doesn't get that cold in Brisbane, man.
Goodna is hot. Goodna's hot. And, in the evenings, it's fucking warm. Most people wear footy shorts. on the
Yeah.
train.
No, well, if you're out at Goodner, like at first light in July, it can get quite cold.
That's when they film their clips.
Yep. Obviously.
I'm
That's when
waiting
it's
for the
cheapest.
North Queensland to pop off.
I'm fucking into that.
The North's got something to say. That's what they reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should play the halftime show at the Cowboys game.
Cairns and Townsville, big Polynesian communities up there, and they are doing a similar thing. But it's obvious, seems to be kind of the engine room seems to be Western Sydney. And why do you think that is? Do you think that's sheer population or sheer multiculturalism?
I think it's multiculturalism, but also I think West Sydney has just been such a tastemaker for so many years.
Yeah.
Even before drill, we spoke about Cursor before. Cursor was a massive tastemaker in making that whole, I don't know what to call it, but that...
Lad rap.
Yeah, Adelaide rap, gutter rap, whatever you want to call it. He was the pioneer of that. You had guys like Forte from that area as well, putting on heavy for West Sydney. Deaf Wishcast were even from West Sydney, so...
West Sydney, in general, outside of music, has informed culture. In the 70s, with the cricketers... They were the gold chains and the mullets, and that was the Bankstown look. Yeah. And that spread right across the country too. Like, the first Westies that it was in the public eye, and now it's kind of, Nautica and resort wear.
Well, Cursor has a Nautica deal. That's the craziest thing.
Yeah.
He's got an official deal with Nautica. Back, 10 years ago, Nautica would have been fucking shying away from this stuff.
They would, yeah.
But that's just showing you how popular it's become, that every brand now wants to be associated with it.
That's great.
Like
Yeah.
Burberry in the UK, same sort of thing,
Do we think that it's also a little bit because of like you said, population, but because Sydney does feel like it is a little bit of a hub, like music industry hub, like platforms and things like that? Do we think
opportunity. The opportunities here. So you touched on population. I think that's a really good point because with that population, it's a melting pot of cultures and people, but there's so many people, so many, and Sydney is the money city. That's like what we refer to it as. So I think when those two worlds kind of clash, it plays a massive part.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the biggest sort of boy bands in the world now is from Western Sydney. Those the 5 Seconds of Summer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're all out of
Product of the great Northwest, I believe.
They're taking the world by storm.
That's Kev's style of music, right?
5 Seconds of Summer.
Yeah, excellent song.
Sort of.
You fuck
And,
with that.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Half those AC/DC boys, they went to high school in Auburn.
Oh, I did not know that.
There
That's
you
a
go.
cool fact.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I did not
Mick
know
Fanning
that.
grew up a long way from the ocean in Penrith. So, it's a real engine room.
When you think about places like, I don't know, Cooma or Wagga Wagga or something, like you're probably not going to have as many opportunities to seal a sponsorship deal with like Nike or some shit. So.
Nah, probably not. Yeah, it's it definitely is about being on the ground.
Yeah.
Do you? We'll go into that now. This doesn't have to be necessarily specific to Western Sydney, but who will go around the table? Do you think coming up, and we're going to be household names in the next year or so in Australian hip hop? We'll start with you, Jazmine.
Oh wow. Okay. Household names.
I mean, Kid Leroy's. We can just establish that he is there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's next?
I honestly see if JC keeps going in the right trajectory and staying out of trouble, I think that his music will take him so far. He's more on the Afro swing tip, which a lot of artists in Australia are getting into at the moment as well, like following suit with like the UK and things like that. They just jumping on that kind of tropical production vibe for a lot of like the deep voiced rappers coming out of Sydney just works so nicely. So JC, one to watch.
Yep.
But there are a lot of women that are coming up too. So I think that Jess B, she's from New Zealand, international for sure. Yeah, she's got that sound and that confidence.
Okay.
I definitely agree with Jazz about JC, and he also has a really solid team around him. And one thing that I've noticed with a lot of successful artists that have come out of Australia, their team is so important, like just being in the right places and knowing the right people and just having that right support, because you can be super talented obviously, but if you don't have people backing you and helping you with everything, then your chances kind of decrease a bit.
Yeah, you
and
can't
that's
do
just
everything yourself.
That's it, and that's just facts. It doesn't always have to be a major label, but even just simple things like your manager and your crew and like people like that being solid around you. So JC, definitely, he's in a perfect position for that, and he's doing really well. He actually just did a show on the weekend with Haiku Hands, which I think went off at Oxford Art Factory.
Interesting bill,
I believe. Yeah, so very interesting. I really love that kind of like crossover of worlds. So yeah, it was kind of funny because you saw like JC and DSP and like all of his boys and Lionel emceeing on stage, and then it's just like a completely pretty much white crowd or like inner west white crowd. But I love that. I think that's awesome. And he probably wouldn't have gotten that opportunity if he hadn't kind of just taken that chance and
On the front foot,
on
yeah.
the front foot, yeah, and his team, you know, put him there. So definitely agree about JC. Sahil is another guy. He's doing it for the Brown Boys, which I love. He's sort of being mentored by the same peeps that Kid Laroi was mentored by, and I think he's probably on a similar trajectory, but whether it happens, I don't know. But his style of music and just his delivery, like his vocals, his lyricism, everything is really, really nice. So I hope that he'll be the next biggest thing out to come out of Australia. But yeah, there are so many on the cards, and it's crazy. Like, I love all the drillers as well. And just their passion for that style of music, and the fact that it is getting noticed in, like, over in the UK and in the States as well, is pretty fucking crazy. So yeah, there's a lot. Kev?
I would say
Who should we be loading money up on for 2022 Hottest 100 winner?
Oh, Hottest 100.
It'll be hard to get
100.
hip hop that mainstream, but it's on the way there. Who do you think will be household in the next year? Now that Kid Laroi's done it from the towers of Waterloo.
Household in Australia, I'd probably say Rops. I really like Rops. Been following him for a couple of years. I think it's just, he's got nice flows, super confident, super young still, and I think he's just going to kill it. He kills it over grime, he kills it over drill, and he's just a nice guy. I think if he sticks to his guns, he's going to be one to watch for sure.
In terms of the unique look that Bad kind of gangster, kind of the closest thing we would have to that genre in Australia. How is that received? I mean, we're talking about like the Polynesian drillers and how, you know, just their fashion sense and their, you know, their hair was something that people have noticed overseas. But in terms of that, I mean, I feel like Australia was one of the first on the face tattoos and the neck tattoos, and then the shin tat is a uniquely Australian thing, because who else the hell, who's wearing shorts?
If you see an Adelaide with shin tats, just run,
Yeah, you kind of get those. I mean, I guess Rops, you mentioned him before, but Cursor was one of those first ones where, you know, people were looking at him saying, "This guy looks naughty."
Yeah.
Even though he's not the hip hop artist we're conditioned to seeing.
Yeah. Cursor definitely had. Yeah, Cursor was. He posts like throwback photos and stuff where it's just like baggy Canterbury trackies. Like, everyone in the 2000s had that one pair of Canterbury trackies. Because I used to work at Rebel Sport, and we used to put ink tags on the Canterbury trackies, which we only used to put on the footy jerseys, because the footy jerseys was like 180 or something.
Yeah.
You know, and the Canterbury trackies were way less
Everyone
than that.
wants that Parramatta Eels shirt, so you got to put an ink tag on it.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted to steal the Canterbury trackies or the Canterbury Adelaide shorts, the real short ones, or the baggy trackies with the white stripe down the side. Everyone used to wear those. You know, obviously TNs and Air Maxes, they were massive in the 2000s as well. And then just, you know, stripy polos. You never see those anymore.
No.
Stripy polos, Nautica caps we talked about before. That was the uniform, you know. Not for me, but like that was a uniform you saw at hip-hop shows in the 2000s. That's one of the things that's interesting, because all the kind of like you were saying, like the drillers, they kind of wear more slimmer tracksuits, normally all black. But like, you know, in the 2000s, it was all about vibrant, big stripy polos. Everything was baggy unless you were wearing short shorts.
Short shorts is a uniquely Western Sydney thing. Like, and it's like shorter than footy shorts.
Yeah, shorter than footy shorts, bro. With the polo tucked in with like high socks.
Yeah.
And
the shaved legs.
Yeah, shaved legs was a big thing too. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it comes down to really like affordability, because the demographic and what they can afford, right? But once, you know, most of the rappers now that are doing big fucking numbers and clocking like millions and millions, like, you know, whatever, they're all rocking high-end labels. You won't see them. You'll see them on their Instagram nearly every day, like walking out of the Louis V store with like at least 6 bags. And
do you reckon we'll ever see like the snapbacks and the baggy pants and that New Boys era type stuff make a resurgence?
Yeah, that's what-
Everything's cyclical. It comes back.
All the
Yeah.
kids now.
I want people to start wearing
those.
snapbacks with a sticker on it still.
Yeah.
that's bad. That's already bad.
A Larry Bird Boston Celtics jersey.
What about Errol, the old white studded belt?
No, and the white loafers too that I used to wear down to the races.
The square toes,
Oh no.
And the pins.
General admission at Rose Hill.
I had
Ooh,
a black suit with a black shirt and a bright orange tie and a white belt and white shoes.
Wallet chain, Velcro wallet.
Yeah.
It's all coming back.
Hair up in a ski jump like that. Those are the days.
Tara Cash needs to sponsor the show.
Yeah, well, Tara Cash tried to sue Betoota Advocate.
Oh no.
That's not happening. We did a story about how old mate gets arrested at the races and gets to wear the same suit to court next week. So.
Yeah, that's fresh.
During that, coward punch era, big
Yeah.
words. But, we've...
It's still a thing, isn't it? Just there's not just enough media attention on it now these days.
I would, our drillers aren't rapping about it. So, thankfully, it's not Shanks and King hits. But, we're opening back up coming out of COVID right around the country. And this is a more international level. We've got a few DJs here today with us. Both of you, really?
Yeah.
You tell us what you're playing on an international level to get the party moving, because not many people, a lot of people are starting to, but not everyone realises that the dance floors are back on in most states.
Well, they had 80,000 people at the MCG for the
Melbourne's opening up.
Anzac Day game. So, so things are on the mend, I guess.
Yeah. Things are on the mend. And we've been playing a couple of shows, actually, and we've got a few coming up as well. But, I play a lot of, by LA funk, a bit of house music in there, but a lot of rap, a lot of trap, a lot of drill, a lot of R&B, a bit of everything. I'm an all over the place type of gal.
I'm similar. I love my Afro beats, as you guys probably got from before me mentioning JC. But definitely a lot of the stuff that's coming out of the UK. AJ Tracy, we've actually got him on the show coming up soon. I play a lot of music from him.
That's coming up. AJ Tracy.
We did.
That would be the first kind of, I guess, when we go back to household, he's going to be the first one coming into Australia like
100%.
that, especially with all those... Ain't it different, kind of that wave that you can just hear. You go to any kind of club or bar now, you'll hear something like that happening. So you guys have got him.
Yeah, we do. It's a big one.
And it's kind of funny because when we interviewed him, it's I watched AJ Tracy come up from back in his heyday, but when he came to Australia the first time, I was at his first show, and he was working and talking to a lot of Australians at that point, and that really was before the UK wave and before the drill wave.
Really?
So it was just we knew it was coming at that point.
Do you think he might have been informed by what he was hearing happening down here?
Nah, probably
I think so.
Not like my conspiracy that Guns N' Roses were a complete rip-off of Australian Crawl. We'll get into that later. We'll play the songs next to each other on YouTube later. Sweet Child of Mine was an Australian pub anthem. Just remember that, everyone.
I avoided pubs at all costs.
Pubs?
Yeah.
Some of the best dance
My whole
floors.
life.
I'd be surprised. The Bondi DJ's telling me she's never been to a pub.
Unless I'm getting paid to be there to DJ, you won't find me there.
Well, clubs are opening back up too. So, we're looking forward to a cold winter of Australian hip-hop.
Yeah. And a lot of Pop Smoke in Central C.
Yeah, ballet. Thank you for joining us. A1 the show. We've got Jazmine, Nikitta, Jade, Flay, 24 Karat Kev. They've just been telling us, what's coming up and, how tough it is, life at the top as the authorities of Australian hip-hop and the gatekeepers of who will and won't make it in this game. So thanks for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.